a good day. Starfinder just released this year, and it's way too hot outside to turn off my fans, so I get to look like Fabio. Starfinder 2E is a brand new sci-fantasy TTRPG that has just come out by Paizo, and there's a lot of hype around it. All the new classes, all the new ancestries, but there's a big problem that I think a lot of people don't realize until they sit down to make their first character. Where am I from? When it comes to Euro fantasy style games similar to Pathfinder or D&D 5e, it's very easy to say, oh, I'll play a blacksmith, oh, I'll play an ex-bandit, or a politician. But in a sci-fi game, especially not in a pre-established universe like Star Wars, it's really hard to say, I'm gonna play a guy from space. And that's exactly what this video is here to help with. If you're looking into Starfinder and you have no idea what your character's backstory should be because you have no idea where they could even be from in the first place, I've got you covered. In this video, I'm going over 5 of the most prominent and interesting planets your character can hail from in Starfinder Second Edition. If you enjoy this video, consider leaving a like, subscribe to the channel for even more Starfinder content, and while you're at it, click the link in the description and check out my second channel where I'm making gaming content. I have 1 or 2 videos up there right now, and I'm constantly working on more in my downtime, having a lot of fun with it. Before I hop into the 5 planets I've chosen, I should give a brief description of the Pact Worlds. It's kind of important because it's kind of the entirety of Starfinder. All of Starfinder's main focus takes place in the Pact Worlds. This is a set of 15 different planets that have all basically been granted sovereignty in a united nations of sorts. All 15 planets meet up, they agree, there's law keepers across the entirety of all 15 Pact Worlds. They're all together to help survive in space. Obviously, that doesn't mean every planet likes each other. That doesn't mean that there's not anger and contempt held between factions on each individual planet, but as it stands, think of each of them as a country or a nation from Pathfinder when thinking of each of the individual worlds we talk about here today. Starting off with number 1, a planet Pathfinder fans might have actually heard of before, Castraal. Many people know Castraal as the home planet of the elves because, as a reminder, even in base game Pathfinder, the elves are aliens. They are not from Galarian. But their home planet Castraal is actually home to 3 distinct species. The elves, of course, but then also the Formians and the Lashunta. Even cooler than that is all 3 of these civilizations stay connected on their own form of the internet. In Starfinder, there is an actual internet known as the Infosphere, and on Castraal, the Infosphere is actually engaged with psychically, either because your home species, like the Formians, are inherently psychic, or there are actually small little telepathic psychic animals that the civilians will bond with to gain access to the Infosphere, which is super cool. The planet itself is primarily jungle, and very unpolluted natural jungle at that. Aside from the various species cities that dapple the landscape, it's all pretty much unbridled wilderness. Even the civilizations themselves don't tend to go outside of their cities into the jungles that often. Rather, to get from city to city, they're actually connected by gates known as Adari. Now, the reason that the jungles are so unbridled and unpolluted and perfect on Castraal is because they took all of their industrial pollution and put it on the moon. This is not an exaggeration, this is not a joke. All 3 species agreed, hey, all of our industry will be done on our moon, and as such, the moon of Castraal is this horrible, polluted, unlivable wasteland of industry, where the only living things on that moon are pretty much just the people working in the industries. So Castraal isn't better than other worlds, they just hide their pollution, you know, up there. Next up, we have a very unique home for your character, the Adari, and the Adari is actually not a planet at all. The Adari is a fully life-sustaining world ship. What happened is the species of people known as the Kasatha escaped their home planet after they were told by prophets, hey, you're gonna have a better home on this other planet. Check it, you're gonna go to this part of the universe and settle on Akaton. Akaton's going to be great for all of you Kasatha. So Kasatha built a massive ship that could hold their entire population and slowly went to Akaton. The problem, a ship built to hold an entire world's population moves really slow. It literally took them centuries to reach Akaton, and wouldn't you know it, by the time they got there, Akaton was already inhabited, and the Kasatha said, well, we're not gonna kill them all, so we're just gonna kind of put the ship into park, live on the Adari for a while, and figure out what happens next. The Adari was parked for so long in the galaxy of the Pact Worlds that every other planet in the Pact Worlds nation actually let them join the Pact Worlds as an officially recognized world. So the Adari and all the Kasatha on board were given free rights to explore all of the other Pact Worlds, and the members of the Pact Worlds were able to come on board the Adari and experience Kasatha culture. And the Adari isn't just a ship with life support, it is a fully functioning world. It has commerce, it has tourism, it has suburbs, religion, government. It is an entire world on a ship. And the biggest new development in the Starfinder history for the Adari is that after 80 years of parking where they are and being part of the Pact Worlds, most of the Kasatha have agreed it's time for the Adari to move and find an actual permanent home planet, which is difficult because over 80 years, a lot of Kasatha have made bonds with new friends and families from across the Pact Worlds, so a lot of Kasatha are going to have to make the choice of leaving with their home planet's people or staying in the Pact Worlds once the Adari leaves. The whole thing is that the Adari takes multiple years to begin moving again. Next up, I'd like to cover Abalon, known as the industrial world of intelligent machines. It is exactly what it sounds like. Abalon is an entire planet consisting almost entirely of sentient mechanical beings, namely synthetic androids and, they're not called Warforged, what are they called? I've been playing this game for 5 years. Automatons. Interestingly, Abalon hasn't always been like this. In fact, it was originally settled and colonized by a species of people known as the First Ones. What do we know about the First Ones? They built robots. Those robots became known as Anacytes, and then the First Ones left. And over the course of the next centuries and millennia, these robots actually began just self-sustaining and upgrading themselves to the point where they developed sentience. These robots now roam and cover the entirety of Abalon, keeping it harvested and living there as their own sect of people. Most interestingly to me about Abalon, though, is that most sentient robots have landed themselves in one of two beliefs: those who wait and those who become. These are two opposing philosophies about the First Ones, who were the progenitors who created all of the modern sentient robots that they're all descended from. Those who wait believe that the First Ones will return. They built the robots for a purpose and left, surely they will come back, and that they must continue harvesting and colonizing this planet as much as they can, so that when the First Ones return, they will be proud that they followed those original directives. However, there's the alternative belief system, which is those who become. This is an entire sect of sentient robots who believe that the First Ones designed and abandoned the robots with the sole intent that they would develop their own sentience, develop free will, and eventually reach the point of wanting to become like their creators, to leave Abalon, to colonize more planets, and create more life like the First Ones did with them. These two arguing philosophies keep going in modern day Abalon, and it's really interesting. There's a lot of ruins and magitech all across the planet that the Anacytes are not allowed to enter. All of the old First One cities are now considered hallowed ground to the Anacytes. Those who wait and those who become will not set foot in these ancient cities, meaning they are fantastic spots to put your campaigns. If you're going to be playing a mechanical character, I do highly recommend considering Abalon as a homeworld. It's fantastic. Coming from a planet of 99% sentient machinery is such a cool foil to something like we'll talk about in just a second, Absilon Station. If you have no idea where your character comes from and you just need a place, Absilon Station has got you covered. The name might sound very familiar to Pathfinder players, and that's because Absilon Station is literally Absalom, the city from Pathfinder in space. In fact, the reason it's able to be in space is because it's still powered by the Starstone, that ancient artifact buried at the heart of Absalom. It keeps Absalom safe and livable even in an intergalactic setting, as well as counting as a sort of beacon that other ships and species can find. Because Absilon Station has been so easily findable by other species, it's become a sort of, surprise, surprise, hub world for all kinds of people from all walks of life, from all species, from all planets. It is the central hub for a lot of campaigns. The general layout of Absilon Station is made up of 3 sections: the Eye, the Ring, and the Arms. The Eye is for the corporate elite, wealthy and powerful, high-rise buildings, luxury apartments, everything that you need money to have. Basically, the closer to the center of Absilon Station you live, the richer you are. Outside of the Eye is the Ring, and this is your more industrial and suburban area. Very much if you think of just a living world, this is what you expect. There's shops, there's suburbs, there's buildings and industries, all of pretty standard living fare. Nothing too exorbitant, but nothing too... seedy? Yeah, let's go with seedy. If you want seedy, you have to go to a sort of unofficial 4th district in Absilon Station, the Spike. The Spike is a sector of abandoned industrial tunnels, and you know what happens in abandoned tunnels? Nothing legal. There's entire black markets, thugs, gangs, monsters, all living beneath Absilon Station in effectively the core of it all in these abandoned tunnels, and it's a great place to set a low-level adventure if you don't want to overwhelm your players with the big expanse of, space. And finally, the Arms is the other part of Absilon. It's basically the dock. It's where ships come, it's where ships leave, it's where they dock for a while. It's a dock, but instead of boats, it's got spaceships. So yeah, because Absilon Station is so universally accessible for every person in the galaxy, it's a good place to have your character come from. Whether they were born there or lived there for a certain amount of time, there are 1,000,001 reasons your character could have been there before the campaign started. But I saved my favorite planet of the Pact Worlds for last, and that's because it's so unique. There's so many aspects of this planet that just appeal to me as a person and my interests, and that is Aposte. What's so special about Aposte? Well, from the outside, it just kind of looks like a dead, mostly harvest rock with nothing alive on it, aside from a few cities that are just on the surface. There's one mega city known as Night Arch, and the reason that city is as big as it is because it holds the entrance to the entire planet-sized mega dungeon that is the inside of Aposte. Nobody is interested in what's on the outside of this desolate rock, but inside, twists, turns, tunnels, chambers, anything you can think of loaded with magitech and secrets, things that people have hidden away for centuries, new things that have never been discovered. There are parts of this mega dungeon planet that have never been set foot in by civilized people, and I think that is so cool. More than that, Night Arch as a city is a fascinating setting point either for your character's backstory or for your campaign. It's not completely all outlaws, but there's a lot of seedy underbelly stuff going along here, especially because a lot of the things found in Aposte couldn't really be sold on normal markets without getting a lot of people following you on your way home. So a lot of people come to Aposte, go into the mega dungeon, harvest what they can, sell it on Aposte, and then leave with their fortune, which again, phenomenal idea for a setting for your campaign. And there you go, 5 of the coolest planets in the Pact Worlds that you could choose from to start your character's backstory. There's obviously more to pick from. Starfinder is a big game, and Player Core 1 lists 12 different homeworlds you can do a little bit of research on right in Player Core 1. If you see anything in that list that piques your interest, just look it up on Pathfinder Wiki, and you can get a lot more information about all of those worlds. I hope this at the very least has gotten you interested in the lore of Starfinder. It's fascinating. It's so deep. It's a lot. I'll tell you, it's a lot. So finding a good starting place and mostly focusing on that one planet is a really good way to get into the lore without feeling super overwhelmed. That's it from me. Let me know in the comments kind of characters you're going to make and their backstories. I love reading up on that kind of thing, especially if they're going to be from any of the 5 planets listed here today, or any of the ones in Player Core 1. I have a decent understanding of each of them at this point, and I think they're really freaking cool. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And until next time, no nat ones. Check out my second channel. I'm making gaming content. It's really, really fun.